For me, I was like, what's the point of winning if you're cheating? You know, it's like, what have you accomplished? You're going to put some money in your pocket, but really, I mean, you haven't truly accomplished anything. And that's just my opinion, you know, like, and I kind of live my life like that. Like, it's like, what's the point of this success if it's not even really real, you know? I grew up in Michigan in Caldawaso. It was very kind of industrial blue-collar area. My father was a GM factory worker, electrician, and then my mom did, you know, various jobs around the area. So going to work and getting work done is kind of normal. And that just kind of, I think, shapes you a little bit as a person. Like, it's just something you do. I'm John Tomac. I was a professional cyclist for 15 years. I started racing BMX when I was 7, and by the time I was 16, I was a national champion. But I mean, that was really 10 years of competing. It took me to get to be a national BMX champion. The road I started was 86 or 87. Went to districts that year. It was pretty funny, and I think they took 6 guys to nationals, which was like another huge step. You know, it was tough to get to the nationals, and it was a fun race. I ended up finishing like 4th or something. That was my first year of racing on the road, like, and I was top 5 at the nationals. Within a year and a half later, I was racing in Europe on the 7-Eleven team. So 2.5, 3-year window. I went from category 4 guy to racing in Paris-Roubaix or something. It was pretty funny. I mean, I was unfortunate enough to be racing on the road in 90, 91. People tend to say, oh, you know, the EPO era was early 90s or mid 90s, but it really started at 89 or 90. And that was a game changer for cycling. You know, I feel like that particular drug and what it did to your blood was a huge, huge advantage. You know, you get a feel of how strong you are, how strong everybody else is, what we would call normal, and they would be at a certain level, and all of a sudden a few weeks later they're at a whole nother level, or all of a sudden the peloton is going, you know, 60K an hour across the flats. And how is this possible? You know, at some point you have to make a decision like, okay, I'm either gonna stay here and race clean and never ever get a result, or you basically say, okay, I'm gonna do what it takes to win. It's a moral decision for people. My last pro season on the road was 91, and then kind of went back towards mountain biking more. I just felt like that was where I needed to be. You know, like that was home to me. 1991, that was my best year on the mountain bike. I won the national downhill title. I won the world's cross country. I won the World Cup series in cross country. Was second in the downhill at Worlds, and that was probably my best straight results year. But the problem was the whole performance-enhancing drug thing kind of bled over into cross-country mountain biking, and we came off the radar in the 90s. And it wasn't because we forgot how to ride mountain bikes in America. It's more like fun-based and grassroots, and it's always been that way. And I don't think the athletes in cross-country mountain biking in the US ever bought into the whole doping program, you know, like they just didn't do it. It's not an easy fix, you know, it's tough. If you really want to fix it, you know, it's almost like dropping a nuclear bomb. Like, you got to start from scratch. Psychologically, I think by the time I was in my last season in 2000, I was kind of just had spent my energy as far as being, you know, super competitive on a bike. I'm like, it's time for me to kind of move on and do something else. For me, having long-term relationships is always beneficial. You know, I was always interested in product development also, and having not only promote them, but make their products better. So there were certain companies that, you know, those relationships just stayed solid the whole time, and Bell was one of those for me. It's a legendary brand. As I transitioned out of some of the biking, I just would start to do more stuff here and with a lot of the farming operation here. There's always things here at the ranch that happen, you know, adversity. You know, the thing you learn from being a cyclist is that you don't give up, and you keep fighting. And it's funny how it transitions over into other things in life. And if you have that attitude, things normally work out pretty well. Cycling, I mean, when he was growing up, it was tough, you know, because it's hard to get your kid fired up about cycling when you know what's behind those closed doors, you know. It's like, why would you want to push anybody into a sport like that? So, well, it didn't take you long to blow my turns out. Sprints?
Sure.
Today? All right, let's go set our gate up. With Eli's program, I'm kind of a hands-on riding coach, set up his training plans, and then help him kind of manage the whole being a pro athlete and dealing with sponsors. For me, I did a lot of that work myself when I was racing, so it was kind of natural for me to go, okay, I can help you with this. You have to be careful because I'm also his father, and it's kind of a balancing act. Like, you don't want to be overbearing in any of those roles. Oh, he was giving it in that turn up there.
For both of us, we're still able to work together really well. I wouldn't trade it for anything else. He does go to actually every event, yep.
I've been exposed to a lot of different athletes, you know, from cycling to motocross. I've often wondered, is work ethic taught or learned, or is it genetically bred into somebody? And I'm still not sure what the answer is. I'm really quite satisfied with what I've done and you know, where I'm at, and now I kind of really enjoy cycling. I did everything I could, and I did it the right way, and I have no regrets. And for me, that's just a satisfying way to live.